Right, so hello. So it's 2 p.m. and it looks like the sun is about to set. That's winter for you, I guess. But we gotta hurry. So you probably saw the title of this video. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm going to quickly put a disclaimer. I don't have a degree in English or Polish. I have not studied literature, and I just don't have like an academic background in that area. Therefore, I am not an expert when it comes to analyzing books. I read for pleasure, and there is a big chance that I missed some important symbolism or like a metaphor in some classic. It might have passed me like a train and I didn't even notice, just like, what? But it is the end of the year and everyone is putting up their best and worst books of 2018 videos, and it got me thinking about my reading year as a whole, and I just have some thoughts that I would like to share with you. This is probably not going to be the most profound video on critical reading. I'm not going to tell you how to read critically. I'm mostly going to talk about how critical reading influenced my life, and yeah, it's mostly going to be set around my own personal experiences with reading. Just like the video I put up some time ago called I Suck at BookTube, it resulted from a small breakdown. And, you know, we all know how that ended up. The video was a mess, but it helped me in a way, and I felt better after talking about it, and after reading in comments I started seeing the issue differently, so I feel like it's important to make a video about it. That previous video was mostly about making videos, also about reading, but also about BookTube and BookTube community, and this video is going to be mostly about reading and the way I read books. So like I've mentioned a few times on my channel, I stopped reading for quite some time and then came back to reading like 2 or 3 years ago. Probably 2.5 years ago. And in the first year, after I came back to reading, I was really enjoying the books that I was reading. I was enjoying reading like I never did before. I also think that discovering BookTube really changed my life, because for the first time I actually knew what I wanted to read, and I wanted to try a lot of new genres. And I was reading a variety of different books and I loved it. But over the years that initial enjoyment kind of decreased, I guess. I think it's normal to become more critical the more books you read. I think it's a natural thing to occur because the things you enjoyed in the books you read back in the day, the more you read, the more you come across those tropes or themes, and you realize that the things you liked are not that exceptional. That doesn't mean you were necessarily wrong about the books you liked or that they can be your favorites anymore. It's just that newness you experience wore off. At least for me it did. And you start to notice recurring themes more consciously in books, I think. And it's not just like themes or plots, it's also the writing style, I think. Because the more you read, the more things you have to compare to. And I'm not saying anything deep or particularly insightful here. I think we all know that. We evolve as readers and mature as people too, and I think it's great. But after having a pretty bad year of reading, in 2018 I only had a few 5-star reads, and they're all not perfect. Yeah, like I think in most, if not all of my 5-star reads, I found something wrong, something I was not 100% satisfied with. So in 2018 I actually had to set kind of a new criteria for my 5 stars. Now they're kind of books that I personally connected with and I just consider my favorites. That means they still might be flawed books I had minor problems with. But before, my kind of criteria for 5 stars was books I just didn't find anything wrong with. So I hope you can see the difference here. And you know, since I've changed as a reader, that just wasn't working out for me, sadly. So here's the big question I've come across. Is reading critically getting in the way of me actually just enjoying the books that I'm reading? I don't think I have an answer for you here. It's just a thought that crossed my mind at 3 a.m. yesterday. So at first, after I started reading my books after my long break again, I tried to evaluate the books that I read according to different criteria. So like the writing style, the plot, the characters, etc. And I obviously still do that, but it's not a separate thinking process. I don't have to sit down and think about those categories. It comes more naturally to me now. I also notice more things that I did, and those things that I noticed influence my ratings. So I'm not sure if it comes across in my videos, but I do try to read critically. I might find it hard to articulate my thoughts, especially in front of a camera, and I'm not eloquent enough or as well spoken as I would like to be. But I do try to look at what I'm reading and question things. I do enjoy it, or at least I did. But like, I'm not sure if I'm not crossing a line here, like I'm not sure where the boundaries are, because if I find flaws in everything that I read, am I not being too harsh? Am I looking for perfection that doesn't exist in the real world? I'm not sure. So from now on things will get a little bit pretentious, so bear with me. And we're also kind of going away from critical reading more towards rating books. In my head, or maybe you experience it too, there's kind of a difference between rating books objectively and subjectively. I have this conflict between rating the books based on my enjoyment versus literary merit or something. So like, how can I compare a classic to like a chick lit? How can I give both of them a 5-star read if they're not on the same level of literacy or something? I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself well. I'm not sure if this is the answer, but maybe I should judge books according to their genres or the audience they're directed at or towards. Yeah, I'm not sure. All of this kind of resulted from watching all of the videos of like best and worst books of 2018, which I'm actually going to do, so sit tight. And also reading a book that I'm currently reading, which is Birdtown by Fredrik Backman. I'm like almost halfway through, and I'm really enjoying it. But this is why I said things will get pretentious. I am enjoying it, but at the same time, this is me trying to explain my view on rating books objectively versus subjectively. So at this point, I'm only halfway through, so things can get worse from here. But at this point, I would like to, based on my enjoyment, I would like to give this a 5-star. But the objective Anya in me is like, yeah, I mean, it's good, but you know, it's not on the level of writing of like Donna Tartt or Virginia Woolf. And you know, like, some of the things that are in here are kind of cliche. Also, the things that they say in this book are not as profound as they make them to be. And I'm just like, I hate this, Anya. I hate being this pretentious asshole. Why can't I just enjoy the book? So yeah, I'm not sure, I don't have any answers here. I would love you to tell me how you view this issue, and if you also experience this kind of thing when like you're critical, you can't just turn off your critical mind, and you sometimes wish you could, because it kind of comes in a way of you actually just enjoying books. I don't want to call this a discussion video because I feel like it's not as deep as I would like it to be. I also like kind of based it around my own experience, so I'm not sure if this could be called a discussion video, but I'd like to hear your opinions. And yeah, this is just me having yet another small breakdown in my life when it comes to reading. And the sun is setting, so I have to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed it, nevertheless. Yeah, see you next video. Bye!